Hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku and his team were getting ready. They were going out to take down the head of Sturgo, Fancy. Along with that, Deku, he is actually thinking about separating his team for a little bit, or at least splitting everyone up, so as to properly keep their targets in the building. Now, everyone is driving and they are on comms. Deku basically going over everything, along with their plan. Deku has basically crippled Sturgo, and it will take time, or whatever lawyers and legal action they can take, for them to get this all put behind them. They can pay off the right people and do all this and claim it was a vigilante, yeah, but still. The papers and the allegations are there, so it was seen as actual evidence. Although some of the forms were destroyed, due to Sturgo having cops on the police force. So, with that being said, let us begin. They are going over everything. Deku and Momo will be the ones to go inside. Deku knows Fancy and some of his tricks. Along with that, Ida and everyone else can make sure that the Yakuza don't escape, in case they need to. So, everyone has their places set. Along with that, Toga and Tokoyami, these two are also at least staying inside the building. They won't be attacking, but they'll at least be making sure to defend. And Deku has called the assassination. He will be the one to take him down. He knows exactly what kind of trick this man may have up his sleeve, so he will be the best one for it. As they would arrive, it is, well, later on into the night, and they do have things at least set up. Everyone monitoring every other point of the building, the exits, and even possibly down below. May is not with the team, however. She is still back at the, well, Assassin's headquarters. And Deku and everyone are getting ready. With that, whenever Deku gets in position, you would see them all meet up. Fancy doing one single thing. Talking with the man. This man, of course, is Hasaikai. I believe that is how you pronounce it. Or the Chi Hasaikai? I might be getting that wrong. Hang on. Okay, I just checked it. I had it correct. Now, with that being said, Deku and everyone, they are ready. Deku would watch as, well, Fancy walks up and actually does somewhat shake hands with Overhaul. Along with that, Deku does at least notice one thing. The villains that are there with him seem different. Along with that, he does actually recognize one of them. The man with steampunk arms, or at least a style to them. Along with that, a guy who has a hand covering his face. And another one who actually is made of purple mist. So, as soon as they kill him, things will get tricky. As the two men begin to discuss a deal. Now, with that being said, the two men are talking, Deku actually hearing the conversation and listening. The man is talking about the quark-destroying bullets, and how the Overhaul has perfected them. In fact, he is quite interested in keeping and actually having a steady supply, wondering if that would be possible. To which Overhaul would have to say that it is actually not. Where they get the bullets from and how they manufacture them takes quite a bit of time. So, it is quite the tedious process, as he'd go over saying. the man at least a bit annoyed but understanding, saying that the better quirk destroyers they have, then the easier it will be whenever they do try and take over. Along with that, they will at least give the Yakuza Japan. That is their deal. They are actually very close to finding parts, or at least the artifact. Not just that, but rumor has it the Brotherhood, they have a hideout. And this hideout is actually right in front of the artifact they seek. If they can get to it first, then they will rule the worlds. But that is just it. Now, as the conversation continues, Deku would feel an itch in the back of his mind, as Juno would speak up, saying that Deku needs to create action now. Otherwise, things will get messy. Deku just telling Juno that she needs to stay quiet for a minute. He's trying to think of a perfect time to strike. To which she would speak up, saying that he needs to strike now. If he does not, things will not turn out well for him. In fact, he may actually, as Deku just tells her to be quiet more, as she finally just does one thing that gets his attention. Tell him that she may know a way to open the gates, or one that he had trouble with whenever he was first brought to the Brotherhood's lab, or their hideouts. Deku actually a bit in shock, gasping at this realization. As soon as he does so, he actually just brings his hand up over his mouth, as the Yakuza and everyone else does look up, looking to see where the sound came from, as a loud sound could be heard outside. And, someone would break through the wall. They break through the wall and they send Bakugo flying, as this is Lemillion, along with him actually battling against a few more villains that the Hisekai do have in their disposal. Now, they're quite a big organization, so I can just say these are throwaways. I don't want to try and think of a quirk or, bring in people I've seen, because that would just get more complicated. Anyways, this is whenever they are a bit in shock. Lemillion actually stating that whatever he's doing here, he needs to leave. This is no place for a civilian. Bakugo immediately looking up, as his hands begin to blow with explosions. Lemillion being confused. He has heard a description of that quirk, as Lemillion would say that he must be the guy who's missing from UA. Sir told me I might find you here. What are you doing? Now, the Yakuza would be confused, as they would just say that it's the number 5 hero, Lemillion. Now, I'm saying number 5 because Sir Night already said Lemillion would be a very good hero in the future. He would be a high-ranking pro in no time. Along with that, he would be the person who would always be out on patrol, just like All Might or Endeavor, being able to at least maintain things a bit better than them. Now, with that being said, Deku would watch as Fancy takes off running, and he actually does get about 5 steps away from this overhaul guy. Deku immediately letting go of the roof and jumping down. People watching this blur streak across the, sky, or at least from the top of the building down to the bottom. Lights and everything should beginning to short out. Deku being able to slam into Fancy's back and immediately stab him in the gut, as he does at least look Fancy in the eye, the one he didn't cut out. Fancy just staring at Deku, and being a bit pissed off, just saying that his order will die, and just because the Creed found you doesn't mean they will keep you. Deku not understanding that. He wants to say something, but he knows that Abstergo will need to keep that information, so he would just try at least spitting in Deku's face. Deku just driving the blade in deeper. Overhaul turning to see this kid, or this person, with his associate on the ground, as everyone else in Deku's team would move in, and try and combat the villains, the Yakuza, and the heroes. As Deku takes Overhaul by himself, getting ready, bringing his hands up and actually at least pulling out a firearm. He holds out one hand as he gets ready, and immediately runs forward. Momo jumping in to fight against the bigger guys. She jumps in and actually does smash Rappa across the face whenever he did get in front of Overhaul. Overhaul actually being surprised, as Momo would immediately grab Rappa with Black Whip and begin to swing him around, smashing him through more walls. Deku just beginning to fire on Overhaul, Overhaul doing somewhat the same. Deku being able to just use a shockwave and just blow away the bullets, as he does run in. Overhaul actually smirking at this, as he rips apart his gloves. Right as Deku saw that, he would hear Juno screaming in his head that he needs to dodge to the left now. As soon as Deku thinks that, he does do one thing, moving immediately to the left as he does sweep his hand upwards for a shockwave to throw Overhaul up into the air. As soon as Deku gets his hand outwards, Overhaul does touch Deku's finger, or at least graze it. Deku's right arm exploding off of his body, as a large gush of blood can be seen, and Deku begins to scream. Everyone stopping to take notice about what happened. Deku is somewhat just standing there as he does bring his left hand up, holding onto where his arm was. And, well, he's very well injured. Deku just staring up at Overhaul as he does at least do one thing. He is taking a deep breath and trying to keep himself calm. That was very, very traumatic for his body, as Overhaul is walking over to Deku, saying that he really shouldn't have interfered with his business. Then again, aren't you that vigilante? Yeah, right. The architect, now I'm remembering. I saw your broadcast. Not really a fan. Now, Overhaul will be reaching down, going to grab Deku by his face. Deku doing one thing. Immediately electrocuting Overhaul by holding onto the floor and using the Coney R. As afterward doing that, he immediately sweeps his left hand upwards with as much force as possible, sending Overhaul flying upwards to the top of the building, smashing into the roof, as one of his goons go to catch him. As soon as they do, they immediately begin to retreat. The heroes actually trying to help Deku, or at least get him some medical aid. While Deku is doing one thing, he is turning out the lights and using the Coney R, along with a piece of Eden to make illusions. He is trying to keep himself composed, but Juno is actually taking over quite a bit, Deku having to force his way out of the situation. Now, eventually this hologram or illusion would disappear. The heroes confused. Now, back over at Deku's car, Deku is currently bleeding out of this place in his arm, as everyone's a bit more, scared for Deku. This is the first time Deku's been injured on a mission. Even then, it wasn't even that bad. Deku just touched the guy and his arm exploded. So exactly what just happened? Now, with that being said, Todoroki is in the back seat, along with Momo, as he actually just heat up his hand and immediately tell Deku just to hold still. Todoroki just forcing the fire onto the place Deku's, arm was. Deku actually needing to be held down as he starts to scream a bit. Momo helping to at least cover the injury, as they also would get back to base. Everyone a bit confused over Todoroki, Momo, and Deku come running in. These two basically carrying him. Now, Deku was actually wearing one of his assassin's outfits, so they couldn't really tell how bad his injury was. Until they do at least take off the top portion of it. And a bit surprised, whenever his right hand is missing. Immediately taking him to the medical wing. Now, back over at the warehouse, the heroes are a bit confused. And exactly what is going on? It is the next day, and most of them see that this place was destroyed, or at least very well injured, or torn apart. That's the word I was looking for. Now, they see that, well, there's a body over there, there's missing parts of the wall there, and the ceiling is dented. Along with the fact that there is blood on the ground in this specific area. And it also does not match this victim. Along with the fact that Lemillion would have to give a statement. The vigilante was here. The guy they call the architect, right? Now, with that, the heroes would actually be a bit surprised. The architect was here, along with Mirio explaining that apparently that guy from Class 1A that went missing, they called him Koma, right? Actually his name was Katsuki. Ah, close enough. Yeah, he had an explosive type quirk, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, with that all being said, Deku, he is, well, unconscious. Actually, somewhat in a medically induced coma. He has lost a lot of blood. And they know as soon as he is going to wake up, he is going to go find Overhaul. And try and beat him to death. So, with that, Mei is actually told to get to work on something. As she begins to work on what seems to be info Deku has on the door. They are telling her that she needs to get that thing open, and they will beat the Templars. It is their main goal. The reason why they think it is possible now is because this boy has actually nearly cracked it open. In fact, he's at least moved the doors. More than anything that has happened in the last 200 years. Let alone the beginning since they've been here. Now, with that being said, Deku, he is unconscious. And Momo is by his side. She actually hasn't left it since his unfortunate injury. So, what is going on with Deku? Inside of his body, there's a bit of a, well, debate. He is talking with Juno, and she is telling him that he should have listened to her. Deku being confused, saying that she should have been more specific as to what was happening. Her going on to state that that man was quite simply too powerful. She has been paying attention, something he has not been. That man has already been on the news. He is Yakuza. Deku confused, as she goes on stating that that man's quirk, it is considered to be powerful, and from what she can tell, he has the ability to rip apart matter. Deku being a bit annoyed, saying that she should have told him that sooner. As Deku, he would somewhat wake up today, and be a bit more conscious than normal. As soon as he opens his eyes, Momo would basically grab onto him, and start tearing up, and crying. Deku, confused, he tries to move his hand to at least, well, hold her, finding that his arm isn't working, until he looks down to see that it is gone. Him just wrapping his left arm around Momo, asking her exactly what the hell just happened. To which she would try to explain. He does not need to get up right now. If he does, he might pass out. The doctor said that you should just be okay. But you need to... Momo just somewhat stopping, saying that he needs to just stay in bed. She has been here for the last couple of days, and things are going to be tricky. Deku picking up on that last part. The last couple days? He's barely been talking with Juno, and it's been days? What the hell is going on? Now, with that being said, Deku would at least lay back and lay down, trying to study the symbols above him, and finding that it's gotten a bit tricky. He does notice some, but things don't seem to be as fast. Until he does think about it. The artifact he had. Whenever he was hit with the Coney R, a lot of shards went into his body, but some of them did go into his arms. So, did he get less powerful, or what? This doesn't make sense. Now, with that being said, Deku, he would be bedridden for a bit of time. May actually coming to visit him one day, telling him that, well, she knows that the whole, thing was bad, but she's at least been working on a side project. Her basically showing him a prosthetic arm. It looking a bit, weird. It looks kind of like the thing he saw, basically rip apart his friends, or his at least colleagues, a couple months ago when they raided the first Abstergo warehouse. Along with that, it's not really his style, but he would at least try it on. As they basically had to insert a metal plate right at the cutoff point of his arm, and put more pieces on, along with part of a magnet. So, this should be good for now. Deku will find that this will be a lot easier. Along with that, he should be able to control it a bit better. Her basically getting him to test the prototype. She's actually kind of proud of this one, since she's tried her hardest to make it. And, she's never actually made a prototype like this before. This compact. The Creed really do have some pretty good technology. She's lucky she has access to it. Deku actually saying that he's happy that she made this for him, but it feels off. Him trying to at least coerce it with power. Now, this thing, it actually doesn't really coerce or have power in it. Deku being a bit annoyed by it. He can only use his left hand for power now. That is not good. So, let's get to work then. Deku finally getting out of bed, for the first time in a while, and moving. He somewhat remembers what happened. He killed Fancy, that was the best part, got his revenge, the sweet part, then, he rushed towards the guy, Overhaul, or the Yakuza guy. And now he's thinking, Momo got really close to him, so he's lucky that Overhaul didn't try and get her. So, wait a minute. As he does ask a question, where exactly is Momo? To which May would just say that she's not sure. As Deku would do one thing. He would immediately just start running out the room as fast as he can, looking around, and actually asking more and more people. Exactly where did she go? No one really being able to give him an answer. As he does actually look for people he knows. He is looking for Mina, Jiro, Bakugo, Todoroki, not really finding anyone. This is actually getting really annoying, and really, really bad. He thinks he knows what they're doing, so this part is going to be the worst. Now, with that being said, this is whenever an elder would actually stop Deku, telling him that he has done a great service. Deku is someone just nodding and accepting that he did, actually looking around while they're saying this. Them basically explaining that they understand what happened to his body, serving the creed. So they will promote him to the rank of, well, higher than you think. Your rank has gone from a master to an assassin. You will be properly inducted now, as they would hand him over some robes, and a better pair of throwing knives, and another belt. Basically going off that, he has deserved this. And if he goes beyond this rank, he will actually be able to take on his own apprentice. Multiple, in fact. So, Deku's still looking around, just asking that he really appreciates the offer, but do you know where my team is? Ah, yes, in fact, they are on another mission. Deku hearing that, asking where to, which they would just state that they are on their way to this city. The city that that the Yakuza are in. Deku knowing it, he heard that city in their conversation. Fancy and Overhaul mentioned it right before then. In fact, wait. Where are the papers from then? Didn't anyone retrieve any information? Yes, that would be... The old man actually asking someone. A scribe. The scribe basically saying that the information is over on the computer. He just needs to access it. Deku basically running over and bringing his hand up. His right hand slamming onto the computer, he would immediately interface with it, finding it to be a bit, well, easier. Not even that. In fact, if you wanted to, you could probably cast more wirelessly now. So, at least it's not all bad. Now, Deku would look at the information and immediately read it off. This is happening, this is happening. The source of the quick strength bullets are over here, here, and here. Along with our, well, organization being the center point around this area. And if you want to contact us, you will need to find this man. Basically, it being the guy who runs Eren or is the caretaker for Eri. Now, with that being said, Deku gets annoyed, and he actually just run over asking if when did they leave exactly. To which they would just continue to say, they left yesterday in fact. Deku annoyed. That city is at least a day and a half away. So by the time he sets out, they are already going to be doing something stupid. Now, the man would just try calming Deku down, saying that if he's really worried, then, well, you could try... The man's someone thinking. Deku annoyed and actually panicking a bit, running over to his room, tossing the robes back onto his bed, and beginning to look through his drawers. He knows it's gotta be here somewhere. It has to be. He left it here. As he would finally pull out the apple, and immediately go into a bit of a safe space, as you can call it. The entire room around Deku turning golden, and things slowing down. As he basically falls into the corner. Juno walking up to him, and telling him that things will be okay, child. Deku basically panicking and freaking out, saying that no, it won't. If that man was able to take me down, then I don't know what to do. I've never been broken. Not like this. I could always put the pieces back together. But now, look at me. Deku just holding up his right hand. It being made of metal. Deku actually doing one thing. He understands May took forever on this prototype, but he can't stand it. Actually starting to tear apart at it, and ripping it off the metal, well, magnets, and tossing it across the room as he sends it flying. Now, with that, he basically just curls up into a ball, wrapping his left hand around his legs, asking Juno exactly what can he do. There has to be an answer for this. Please, I can't lose her. I can't lose them. The only thing I'll have left is the creed. I've lost people before, and I've gotten them back. I've rebuilt my life. I can't just let it slip away, not like this. Well, I do believe there may be an answer behind that door. Deku just thinking. She said that earlier, too. Exactly what does that mean, Juno? Well, as she basically lifts up the apple, it levitating to her. Deku immediately standing up and going to grab it, as she basically freezes Deku. Deku confused. Her just walking around him in circles, telling him that he seems to be pitiful. He seems to be broken, more than you think. And you are powerless. These are words that you have said. These are all the things you believe. But broken. You broke the Coney R, and you basically use its power on a daily basis, as if it were your own. So, tell me again what that has to do with you being powerless, or broken. You put the pieces back together and are more powerful than you think. Along with that, loss. I lost my entire species. In fact, the reason that I am here today is to at least try and help salvage something, making sure our tech does not fall into the wrong hands. I have lost my body long ago, so the fact that you have only lost part of your body shows that you hold on to something that, well, seems insignificant in the long run. Now, Juno would do one thing, bending down to her knee, and actually pull Deku down, back into a sitting position. Deku confused, as she brings the Apple of Eden up to his right arm, and begins to do one thing. She attaches it to this magnet as Deku's confused, looking at it for a second, asking her exactly what is this? Childs, try to cast energy. Now, with that, Deku, he's not sure what to do. So he just listens, trying to focus. As soon as that happens, he feels something familiar. As he opens his eyes, and looks to see his hand. It is made of gold, or at least this light. He reaches out to grab it and it's actually solid. Along with that, he can somewhat feel it. More than that metal. This is actually lighter. As he brings his hand upwards and waves it around. It doesn't fall off, but in fact it's even better. It's lighter, feels stronger, and even then, he is now able to use the apple's power in coincide with the Coney R. So, this means that he is stronger now. As he would do one thing, walking out of his room. Everyone's somewhat staring at Deku, making his way straight for the door. One of the elders just try and talk to Deku as they look confused for a second, telling him that he needs to hand it over as Deku basically just pushes him out of the way. Being really mad, until he sees Deku walking straight toward the front of the door, and look up at it, asking the elder exactly what is going on the news, and to call his friends. Now, now, Deku, he would begin. May would run out, hearing something, and a lot of commotion. Her guard walked away, so exactly what happened? Her basically being able to see the door, front and center, and hearing the commotion about Deku. Deku basically standing there. As he begins, he puts his left hand on the door, and allows the tech to somewhat interface with him. Along with that, he brings up his right hand, and puts his quirk into the apple, basically allowing it to work better. As lines start to appear on Deku's skin. People confused. Up on his left arm, there are golden things seeping into his body. Everyone a bit confused as Deku drops to his knees, and begins to actually start screaming. Now, as Deku drops to his knees and screams, as soon as he starts to scream, people would run forwards, and someone would actually grab Deku. Deku basically just standing there with his eyes upwards, toward the sky. People are trying to pull him off the door, as he sends out a loud shockwave around himself, basically throwing them away, and waiting. Everyone just watching. Tech around the entire Brotherhood, well, headquarters beginning to malfunction, turning off or sometimes even exploding. Them confused at what Deku's doing. Until hours have passed, and Deku, he is still trying to figure this out. He really hopes this is working, otherwise his friends are about to die. As Juno would finally tell him to stop. Deku basically just looking at the door. Back at it. His nose is bleeding, his eyes are bleeding, his mouth is bleeding, along with his ears. That high-pitched sound that he's heard so many times is finally back. As Deku finally has this thing come up to his face. The lines basically covering his eyes. And most of his skull. Deku finally ripping his hands away from the door. As it would begin to open. A loud sound being heard. Everyone in shock. As a lot of people are actually cheering on Deku. As he does one thing in his exhaustion. Walking forwards. Walking into the door and turning around. As he somewhat just holds his hands up. As soon as he holds his hand up, the door begins to close. And Deku would run forwards, trying to at least stop it. And it wouldn't work. The Brotherhood watching as the most valued asset gets closed and the doors that have never opened. And may never open once again. Now, Deku, he is mad as he begins to punch at the door, slamming his right arm into it. Watching as this thing actually is stable and reminds him of the real thing. That's good at least. It doesn't shatter upon impact. Juno, what happened? It appears that the doors are not meant to stay open. No shit. You do not have to be petty, my child. I am not your son. Now, what is in here? Tell me. Well, I'm trying to remember, or figure that out. It seems that I do not even know. It is nowhere in my databanks. Databanks. Oh fuck, that's right, you're a computer. Deku just walking around, trying to find what is going on. This place is huge, and he can see why the Brotherhood wants to be in here. The amount of tech this place could hold is extraordinary. Even then, that's not it. Deku seeing a white glow and walking towards it, asking Juno if that's his ticket out of here. Her saying yes as Deku would finally walk up to the, item. Looking directly at it, it is nothing but a wall of the void. So, what would you call this, Juno? I am not sure. I am trying to figure it out. This is a scientific oddity even among my people. So, the most advanced thing you've ever seen. Yes, actually. It is astonishing. I see. So, can you at least tell me what it does? I'm not sure, child, but I do have an idea. Are you sure you're ready for this? This might destroy you. Yes, I am. Deku basically just holding his hand up, saying that he's been destroyed before, but he was put back together again. Now, I am tired of being destroyed. This will be the last time I put myself back together. Juno actually a bit, happy at that statement, smirking, telling Deku to walk forward and to accept his position into godhood then. Deku walking into this white void, as behind him the apple falls, and he feels himself disappear. Now, with that being said, let us cut back over, or cut over to a day and a half ago, with Deku asleep. Actually, let's go back to, say, 2 days. Deku is asleep, and he is still, having trouble. He does drift in and out of consciousness, but today, he hasn't waken back up. He was supposed to. The doctors are still confused, as they tell Momo that she does need to get her own rest. Her actually walking out of the room, not really saying a word. Her basically just spitting her wedding ring in her hand, understanding that this thing is supposed to protect her. But she couldn't even protect Deku. She forgets that he is still human. With all that power, all that tech, that meant nothing. That man just tore him apart in seconds. So, this is bad. This is very, very bad. Her eyes somewhat swelling with tears, as Tokoyami and Togo walk up, telling her that they have a bit of information. Her basically screaming at them to leave her alone, walking away, them telling her to stop. They know where that man's gonna be, and they know one more thing. Momo basically turning around and looking directly at them, asking them exactly what are they talking about. To which they would say that they understand that she's having trouble. They want to help Midoriya too, so they will do it in the way they know how to the most. Basically holding up a piece of paper, saying that this is the location of the Hasaikai. In this area, we find this man, then we can find, Shigaraki. From what we were told, Shigaraki was the man who killed Sue. Quite a lot of other people from Class 1A too. And their friends. As Jiro would walk forwards, saying that Kaminari protected her. So, she at least wants to help. Along with that, Todoroki would just say that their friends, they were good people. And the villains tore them apart. So, what do you say we repay the favor? Besides, I do believe if we get the heroes involved, things will get more complex. But it's not just that. Todoroki just saying that he believes that he found the source of the quirk-destroying bullets. Momo just confused. Todoroki going on to say that the Chai Hisaikai, or the Yakuza, they are the ones making them. And it may be someone's quirk. It's made of blood. Momo just a bit more confused. And, well, Todoroki just leaving it at that. He's not too sure about the rest of it. So, they all have their reasons for going, and they would leave. As they continue. Now, with that being said, after a day and a half's trip, they would arrive. Momo basically finding the man that they're looking for after a couple, 2 to 3 hours. And smashing his head into a wall, along with actually making a blade and stabbing it through his hand. And breaking a few of his teeth. People just watching her let out her rage. Her basically making another blade and telling him that if he doesn't start talking, she's going to start taking fingers. The man basically trying to give Momo whatever she wants, except for the Hasaikai's location. Her basically telling him that that's exactly what she's looking for. As she basically does punch him across the face one more time. And make a firearm. As soon as she does that, the man immediately gives it the location. As she does one thing. She takes the butt of the gun and smashes it upwards into the man's nose, knocking him out. So, he'll be left there for quite some time, or at least until a hero finds him. So, this will not be easy. Now, with that being said, they would finally arrive outside the location, as 2 cars pull up. Momo and everyone immediately jumping out, and getting ready. Momo creating, firearms in the back seat, and putting them all in bags. Everyone's somewhat just watching, and getting ready. Now, as soon as that happens, Shinsho would walk out of the car, and be greeted by the men at the front gate, him using his quirk to get them to unlock it and then to shoot each other. As they would walk in, Momo turning full howling up to about 70%, so 120% of canon Deku. Now, with that she would begin to throw around quite a lot of force, and get Shigaraki and, Overhaul's attention, along with local heroes, as the rest of her team get out of the car and begin to make their way through the buildings, immediately taking down whoever they can and, villains. Along with that, finding out about quirk enhancers. As soon as that happens, the man would immediately be screaming that he's not going to let them get through. In fact, none of them are getting through. Ochako doing one thing. She's worked on her quirk quite a lot, so this is not going to be an easy feat. As she taps onto the building, and begins to tap onto the walls of the tunnel. The man confused as he feels it somewhat moving. Things feel weird. Exactly what is going on? Toga actually copying Ochako's quirk. The two basically running around the tunnels and tapping onto them. Things don't really feel very stable down here. So whatever she's doing is not good. Now, with that being said, Mina would begin to melt pillars, or at least melting support points on the lower levels of the base. and they would begin. As soon as that happens, you have Ida, Jiro, Bakugo, and Todoroki running through Tokoyami, him using a dark shroud to run around the building. Them all taking down and actually fighting the members of the Yakuza, along with the fact that they would run into Rappa, and he would somewhat remember Toga and Tokoyami. As soon as that happens, he would be saying that, "Where's that other guy?" He remembers fighting him, so he's guessing that he got killed by Overhaul. The two being immediately annoyed. Toga actually using Ochako's quirk and running forwards. Tokoyami doing the same. As soon as he gets close enough, Tokoyami actually does block one of these punches, and overpowers Rappa using Dark Shadow. For a second, he lets himself lose control of his emotions. Dark Shadow smashing Rappa into a wall as Toga uses Ochako's quirk, making him float. As he focuses Dark Shadow to basically punch a hole into the roof, sending him into the next floor and out of their way. As Momo begins to tear her way down, she's basically punching through as many walls and surfaces as she can, tearing apart this base. Now, with that being said, everyone is well watching. Sometimes, if you're paying attention, you can actually see Momo after you see the hole in the wall form. So, this is a bit bad. The Yakuza are losing it. Along with that, the League of Villains, they don't have many members already. So, exactly what are they going to do? As Kirigiri would begin to open portals, trying to at least trick the heroes into going through them. Now, with that, Bakugo would do one thing. He is still walking through with Jiro, telling her to let them have it. Her basically plugging into her, gauntlets in her shoes, and immediately letting out a loud sound. Immediately letting out a loud burst of sound. It basically reverberating through the tunnels, and echoing quite a bit. Them actually beginning to follow it. Now, Todoroki and everyone else, they would eventually be killing their way through. Heroes are already on their way. Along with that, Shinsho has already found Eri, and he's a bit confused as to why a little girl is down here. As he does look throughout the room, seeing some machines, and they are all very strange. So, what exactly is going on here? This is bad. They've been running around this place for hours already. So, did she get lost down here? Excuse me, why are you down here? To which Eri would just stay silent, not saying a word. She has been with Overhaul for far longer than in canon. So things are a bit worse. Now, that is fucked up, I'm aware, but it is true. Now, with that being said, she wouldn't really respond to him until he does tell her that it's going to be okay, and somewhat outstretches his hands. Her immediately just, backing away. Not really saying anything except for the look on her face. Him being confused. Still. And he looks at his hand. Before thinking back to what happened to Midoriya. Realizing what happened to him. She thinks that he might be like Overhaul. No, I'm not like him. Wait. The only reason... Should show someone asking her if she knows how to make the quirk destroying bullets. Her just shaking her head no. And basically just saying that Overhaul usually just needs her to do something. Basically, not explaining it, but at least showing her hands. him understanding. As he basically gets airy and begins to make his way through the building. Now, Momo would finally smash through a wall, and see Overhaul. Now, she would immediately just stare at him, telling him that he has a lot of nerve for what he did to her husband. Overhaul looking at her and being a bit confused. Don't you two think you're a little too young to be getting married? Momo getting annoyed, immediately just throwing a knife straight at his direction, and holding up more. Overhaul just stepping out of the way and immediately grabbing it, tearing it apart, and doing one little thing. He sends his henchmen out. He has, those three guys, but Momo wouldn't really care. She would create heavy weaponry. An RPG, explosives, grenades, you name it. She, at this point, is not in her right state of mind, and is using her quirk to its maximum, as she would just take these men down in a few minutes, possibly even a few seconds. Overhaul actually being a bit surprised, as she would walk over and bring her leg out onto one of the men's back, immediately using one for all and snapping his neck, telling him that he has pissed her off, as she would throw a black whip in his direction, him immediately being confused, as he goes to step away. Barely being able to dodge it, he brings his hands downwards and actually does throw concrete her way. Momo immediately just bring her hands up and smashing them in his direction, blowing away the concrete. Now, with that being said, she would just say that she is here to murder him. She will put his head on a fucking spike. Now, with that, Sasaki, or Overhaul, he wouldn't really, think anything about this. He knows that she's lost her mind. And, that means that he probably killed her boyfriend. Him somewhat not really caring. At this point, Overhaul's been very successful, as you can call it, in the underworld. And he does at least have a bit of a name for himself. But he tries to stay hidden, because you're not really a good smuggler if you're known. Anyways, Han Solo. Now, with that being said, Overhaul would begin, trying to at least use his quirk to fight with Momo, as he does actually absorb more and more of his henchmen. The fight basically being taken upstairs, and drawn out more. He does find Rappa and actually absorb him as they keep going. At this point, everyone is getting out from the underground base, and trying to figure this all out. Along with that, Shinsho has Eri. Overhaul immediately looking directly at him, and rushing in his direction, saying to let her go. With that, Momo would have rushed in, immediately pushing these two away as she does something Deku's at least given her an idea about, holding out her hands and immediately just flicking them as hard as possible, sending air bullets in his direction. Now, with that, Overhaul will be hit by a lot of these, as Momo looks directly at Eri, wondering why she is here. Shinsho basically explained that he's tried asking her about her quirk, but she doesn't talk. The best thing he can tell is it has something to do with, the quirk destroying bullets. Now, Momo will be ready, as Overhaul does a bit of a trick move. He sends spikes directly at Eri, Momo being able to grab her and actually cover her from the spikes, being able to stomp her foot down into the ground as the spikes come around and actually stab her in one of her arms, her beginning to scream, doing something that Deku has warned her against. Toru said that if you go at 100%, you will break something. So, this is a better point than ever. Momo immediately throwing her arm out with as much force as possible, an entire shockwave forming directly in front of her, as she basically is sent flying with the force of her own punch. And Overhaul gets sent halfway across the street, or down the street. And things are a bit tricky. Overhaul is not really sure what is happening, as his vision is turning yellow. Now, with that being said, let us cut back over about 10 to 20 minutes ago. Deku has walked through this white light, and the apple has fallen. Deku, he's, feeling his body being torn apart, not really sure what to do, as he just keeps moving forwards. This somewhat feels like an animus, but it's not. His skin is actually beginning to burn, and things don't feel right. But he just keeps walking through, more and more and more. He needs to know what's going on. If he does, then this will be a lot better. Until Deku would finally do one thing. He would come out to the other side of this thing. Not really sure what happened. His body is hurt, and it feels like shit. So, whatever he just went through, clearly it was bad. As he walks to see this little thing, he's not sure exactly what it is. As soon as he walks over to it, this is whenever he would be instructed by a different voice. Not sure where this one is coming from as soon as he looks at the artifact. It telling Deku to take it and walk back into the, endlessness, as I would call it. Deku unsure of it, as he grabs the device and stares at it. It doesn't seem right. This is ancient or new, whatever this thing is. Deku at least listening, knowing it will be the only way he may be able to save his friends. As he walks back in, things are more intense, however. The thing basically shattering into pieces and releasing whatever's in it. Deku basically holding on to it, as he forces it into his chest, feeling his body tear itself apart to the last atom, and pulling itself back together. As Deku is basically reborn, and his eyes glow with power. Now, with that being said, Deku would just think one thing, and be there. He is floating directly above the Hisaikai base, and he has found Momo and everyone else. He is not sure what he just did, as Juno and a lot of other people would appear, telling Deku that he is the only mortal to use this prototype. In fact, it is quite astonishing. Along with that, it seems that the prototype is using your DNA, and is becoming a part of you. Deku confused. He thought he was becoming part of it, but it's the opposite. As he lowers himself down to the ground, and waves his hand outwards. Overhaul's vision turning yellow, and him being trapped inside of a yellow box. Deku lowering himself to the ground, as he directly turns to see Momo. Momo is just staring at Deku. Deku is actually smiling. He somewhat looks normal, but he just has these, glowing lines across his body. So, what happened to you? Her basically running forwards and grabbing him by his right arm and actually inspecting it and looking at it. Deku somewhat smirking, kissing her, telling her that he is back. He did what he had to do. He pulled himself together. Her actually tearing up quite a bit. Deku just grabbing her by her hand and healing it. Her confused. Deku doing one thing as he looks directly at Overhaul. And he throws out his hands. Overhaul, he is in this humongous mode. And the cage is already too small. Deku doing one thing. He brings his hands down together as Overhaul begins to be crushed. Deku turning Overhaul into a small cube. Him dying in the process. Now, with that, Deku would do one thing. He would broadcast himself across everywhere. Every platform in the world, he is currently doing so. Saying that he is the architect. He has just gone through something that no one would believe. And he is now the most powerful man alive. So, to anyone who would like to challenge me, Deku just raising his hand and snapping it. As a lot of heroes would disappear. And things are a bit weird. All the villains around him are gone. In fact, everything has changed. Momo turning back to look at Deku, or Deku turning back to look at her. Her just walking towards him. And, well, the two hugging. All of Deku's team are in shock. What the hell has happened to him? Deku just looking at them and, well, somewhat smiling. It's a bit odd, but whatever he is now, it's powerful. He just won. Now, with that being said, Deku would just say that he found what was behind the door. Everyone just looking at Deku. As he has a thought. Closing his eyes and everyone just being in shock. They're back at the assassin's base. Along with a lot of them staring at Deku. Asking him exactly what the hell happened. The door closed and they thought he was dead. Deku explaining himself a little bit. As he does at least put on the new robes they gave him. Saying that the information he has found is astonishing. He can tell the story of the first civilization for all of them to hear. Whatever he found was considered to be the backup of information, the backup of an entire species, knowledge they wanted us to know, and something else. He thinks that he fulfilled a prophecy of some kind. Their species will one day find someone who can do what I can do. And the Creed, I think they existed before us. The assassins confused. A lot of them actually not believing Deku. Someone actually firing a gun at him. Deku basically telling them to stop. As he would do one thing. Waving his hand in front of him and destroying the members of the Creed that don't agree. Or who are at least not believing. Basically the ones who were evil. The assassins being confused. Some of their members have just disappeared. In all locations. Deku explained that they were Templars. As he does one thing. He rewrites reality on a small scale. He rewrites it enough to bring, well, Mummy to him. Mummy confused, turning around and pulling a gun on Deku, seeing his glowing eyes. Deku telling Mummy to stop. Mummy doesn't really understand. But, well, he's not sure why he's here either. Deku just telling him that he has discovered secrets. And whatever it is, he must say that he understands how he's feeling now. Things are tricky, yes, but I truly believe this will work. Deku doing one thing. He begins to look up, and his eyes glow with power. His entire body courses with lightning. And he gets ready. A large shockwave blowing out of his body. As everything changes. The world has somewhat gone back to normal. UA students, they are still dead. Yes, but UA is somewhat better at about how they do things. The world has actually changed too. They don't view heroes or villains or how you use your quirk, but they just view everyone as people. Now, let us cut to roughly 7 to 8 years later. Things have all changed. And Deku, he is taking a walk. He is doing things that he's never done before. And, well, him and Momo are talking. Deku and her are walking around Paris. Then, the next second, they are walking down the Wall of China. The next, they are in Iceland. Then Greenland. Then, they are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. As Momo would just tell Deku that they need to stop. Her taking a seat. Deku just telling her that he can, well, make things easier, you know. Why? You don't think I could do it? No, I know you could. I've already seen you do it, that is it. I just don't want to put you through that. Her basically bringing her hand up to Deku, and running it across his face. He has grown a bit of a beard, and, well, things do at least look a bit trickier. As Deku would help her up. It's not good for a pregnant woman to be walking around as much as she does, but she still does it anyway. As he would, well, snap his fingers, and they would be back in front of the Yakuza mansion. Now, Deku would help Momo inside as he does see his mom, sitting down in the library, reading something to his daughter. He's actually smiling quite a bit, and it seems peaceful. Him walking in to see his daughter Toru. Things are a bit better. Along with that, he's gotten a phone call recently. One thing he's apparently able to do. He's changed how people think of him, along with everyone. He's just wondering though. His children have, well, shown signs of his power. So, it's directly linked to his DNA. What will his next son do? Well, what will his son do? And then his third child. As he goes around the world once again, revisiting his friends. Seeing Shinsho and Toga out on a family farm. They've somewhat been hiding away. Well, he does go over to America. Seeing that Bakugo and Kendo are actually racing down a highway. And having quite a bit of fun with it. Now, with that, he also does, well, go back to Japan, or at least towards a beach, as he basically is floating in the air and seeing events occur. He is watching the moment Ochako and Ida, got married and decided to have their first child. It is still amazing. Life is precious. So, he does need to check up on someone else. As he would step through a bit of a, room and knock on the door, opening it to a man who would greet Deku inside. As everyone begins to talk, more and more and more. Now, with that, a man would sit down next to him. Deku being able to see him and stare him in the face. This is Thomas. Deku's been able to take away quirks that people do not like. And in fact, anytime a threat has appeared, he has taken it down, with the wave of his hand. Along with that, the Brotherhood, they don't really need his guidance. He has shown them a proper path to stay on, so they do not need his help anymore. Along with that, someone would walk into the room, as it is Toru Hakakure. She would see Deku and she would be talking with him, telling him that it's actually a big surprise to see him. Deku's somewhat happy. Tokoyami walking in behind her, with their son. He's actually a bit more happy about things, saying that he's gotten, full control now. Deku basically saying that he understands, and he knows. But still, it's nice to at least hear it. Things aren't very easy, you know. I can bet. Well, it's hard to believe one day we were training. The next, you become a god. I don't consider myself to be a god, Tokoyami. I know. I just think you need to hear it out loud. Thank you. Now, with that, Deku would disappear once again. Finding May, working on more devices, and having a bit of fun with it. She's actually gotten a bit used to a scientist she's met in the Creed, and has found an interest in him, and his technology. While you have Todoroki. He has visited his mom, along with actually gone to a music shop with Jiro before. Now, with that, she's also taught him instruments and other things. Him being able to live his life a way, of freedom, instead of under constant supervision. As you also have Mina. Mina did have a bit of a request for Deku. She asked if Deku could give her a bit of help. And, he provided, taking her quirk away. And, helping her live her life. Normally. She is quirkless right now, and she's actually a bit happy about it. No one really cares about them anymore. The world's at peace. There's no heroes, no villains, no crime, no violence. It's hard to believe that all this was caused by a vigilante who just wanted to make the world a better place. Now, she would just pack up a backpack and telling Deku the words that he knows she was about to say. You've succeeded, Midoriya. You've gotten everything. But I have a question. Why haven't I brought my father back? Yeah. He would be proud to see that you're, you now. Well, I'm not too sure. I didn't want to bring Toru back, but it was a request from Tokoyami. Well, I do believe that I should, actually. Thank you, Mina. You've given me a lot to think about. Deku basically waving her off, as he teleports her to a place that she was about to ask him to take her. Deku heading back home, his dad in hand. And he would actually explain everything before they walk through the door. Inko basically in shock, as she hugs Hasashi, and is in tears after seeing him after such a long time. Along with that, Deku, he would just, stay with Momo and wait. He knows that he has to take her to the hospital in, roughly 5 to 10 minutes. But he is happy to enjoy the time he has with his family. He's given all of them a portion of his power, so they can see things that he can't. Even the man in the room, telling the story, and what happens next. Now, with that being said, I do believe that is the end of this What If. So, what did you guys think about this? And are you And before I leave, if any of you are wondering, Eri, she is with her parents. Deku brought her dad back, and actually found her mom. This was able to at least let Eri live a bit more of a normal life. She does know what she's done. She has tried asking Deku a question, to let her forget. Deku telling her that she doesn't need to forget. He sticks with his past. Even the 2-year period he doesn't remember. Now, with that being said, I do believe that is the end of this What If properly. So, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day. I do hope you guys enjoyed this series because I know I had a lot of fun recording it. This has actually been one of the, longest series on my channel now, beating out Predator and I believe another What If. I think it beats out Blacklight. But, yeah. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed it. And, as you all know with my villain What Ifs, or my first Vigilante What If, I have done a happy ending, which has possibly surprised quite a lot of you considering the beginning of this video. So I do hope you guys enjoyed it.